Hello and welcome to the incredibly influential and highly successful podcast. I'm incredibly influential.
And I am highly successful.
Today is Wednesday, May 3rd. Very, very happy to say that it is now officially Star Wars month. Let's just give the whole month to Star Wars. Let's just do it. Um,
Yeah.
uh, tomorrow, May the 4th be with you. Day after, there's always a bigger 5th. After that, Revenge of the 6th. I Am the 7th. That's No Moon. 8th's a Space Station. A 9th edition of my collection. And It's Treason 10th. So, pew pew, Star Wars all week. Hell yeah.
Wow.
Isn't that,
Incredible.
isn't that crazy?
Did you come up with all of those?
No, I stole that off Twitter. Yeah.
Sweet.
Speaking of things that I stole, I have a dirty joke for you.
Yeah. What's your dirty joke?
Here we go. All right. So, I was with this girl, right? And she was like, "Oh my god, give it to me, please. I'm so wet." And here I am like, "Bro, I don't know what you're complaining about. You should have brought your own umbrella."
Nice.
Thank you. I love how you were like waiting. You were waiting for like a different punchline. Nope, that was it. There you go. That's all the punchline you're getting, motherfucker.
Very nice.
Yeah.
I think you had a terrible question to ask me too.
Oh yeah, are we just going straight into it? Okay. All right. So if we didn't get canceled for last week's episode, which by the way, when you're done with this one, go listen to it. It's really funny. Scoot Henson, absolutely fantastic guest. Can't overstate how funny that last episode was. So go listen to it after this one. But if we didn't get canceled for how offensive that episode was, we're gonna get canceled right now. So I just want to preemptively say we had a good run. 54 episodes, that ain't bad, but are you familiar with the events of January 28th, 1986?
I am not.
Well, it was the height of the Reagan administration. It was the day of Ronald Reagan's State of the Union, and it was the launch of one Challenger space shuttle. And unfortunately, something happened to one of the O-rings, and everyone on board the shuttle was killed when it detonated during takeoff. If you're familiar, there were a few ideas as to who would go on this launch. The one that succeeded was the Teacher in Space program, where there was a teacher named Krista McAuliffe, who was selected to go into space and teach a lesson from space, and I think it was on fluid dynamics. But the original idea was to have Big Bird on the Challenger space shuttle.
Yeah.
On January 28th, 1986. And
so you're telling me we almost lost Big Bird.
And thus we are getting to my question here. And I do have a logical argument based on this, right? But would the universe be better or worse if it was Big Bird on that shuttle and took off the same day, but we still, it still detonated during the launch? Would the universe be better or worse?
Well, would we have only lost Big Bird
Well, we still would have lost all the other astronauts on that
Oh,
shuttle.
so it's literally just whether or not we killed Big Bird that day.
Either Big Bird or Krista McAuliffe.
Who's he?
Krista McAuliffe was her name. She was the teacher. The first private citizen would have been the first private citizen in space.
Would have been.
Yeah, would have. But yeah, no, that did not end up happening. But so what is your opinion on here? Because I've been thinking about this. I actually have a logical, fact-based argument.
Okay, well, in my opinion, I like Big Bird, so I would keep him around if at all possible, and I am glad that we did not lose Big Bird on the Challenger that day.
That's a fun sentence to say. Is I'm glad we didn't lose Big Bird on the Challenger that day.
Hmm.
That's a fun sentence. I recommend all of you say it.
Yeah, everyone appreciate that we still have Big Bird
Yeah.
since then, because I think if that happened, Big Bird would be dead.
Oh yeah, Jim
And
Henson would have absolutely just been like, no fucking way we're bringing him back. No, he's
yeah,
fucking dead. Because every child in America would have watched as a fucking childhood hero, Big Bird, got on the fucking space shuttle and got obliterated. Yeah,
yeah,
everyone would watch that. But I'm gonna. All right. So are you ready for my argument here?
let's hear it.
If Big Bird had died on the Challenger disaster, I believe that there would have been more public fallout and more people might have been arrested for negligence, and probably we wouldn't have seen the election of George Herbert Walker Bush, because so I don't know if you are aware of this, but the the primary leading theory, which we can't confirm because Ronald Reagan is dead. And good
Uh,
riddance, by the way. Good
we
riddance.
can't ask him anything.
I mean, I doubt his fucking Alzheimer's ridden ass would have given us much of an answer, but uh, the prevailing theory is that the head of NASA at the time, I forget his name off the top of my head, but he was
Head,
a.
middle name of.
Oh yeah, sorry. 1986. That was William Graham. William Graham. There's a lot of William Grahams. He was.
You think he would have gotten more flack?
I mean, I would certainly hope so. Yeah.
He did just launch a rocket that didn't work.
I mean, all right. So here's my thing here. Right, William Robert Graham, born June 15th, 1937. But he was the head administrator of NASA from December 4th, 1985 to May 11th, 1986. So the leading theory is that Mr. Billy Graham here, and this is just an opinion shared by a lot of people. I want to cover our legal grounds here. This is just an opinion based on facts, but an opinion nonetheless. But Billy here was a big people pleaser. He liked to gargle on old Ronnie Reagan's ball sack, and the primary theory was that the reason that it launched on January 28th, 1986 was so that Ronald Reagan could call Krista McAuliffe during his State of the Union speech. That
And
was the leading theory
what
because
what was the benefit of him calling him? Just for clout?
yeah, just to be like, I put a teacher in space. What are you gonna do, America? Which was really funny because he couldn't get reelected anyway. But um
So, are you telling me that she got on the plane and Big Bird did not?
um well, she definitely got on the plane uh because of she got on the spaceship because uh I don't think the Big Bird thing ever really got past the planning stage because it's really hard to make like to get just a normal human into space and not, a big bird. But uh yeah. Uh
I see.
but he wanted to, you know, once they had decided, teacher in space, he there so we don't know for sure, but there was like a draft of his speech that was leaked that mentioned a hero that was going to call Reagan during the State of the Union, and we believe that it was Krista. But obviously, since the Challenger blew up that morning,
No one was there to take the call.
well, no one was there to make the call
I
because
see.
she was supposed to call him. But uh, I don't think he mentioned it during the State of the Union. But um, because he was insistent on having it on January 20th, 1986, the temperature was very, very cold. And Billy Boy received numerous concerns that the O-rings were going to malfunction because it was very cold. It was like 30
Yes.
degrees in Florida. But he didn't listen, so the thing launched and it blew the fuck up like 2.5 minutes into the launch, and nobody went punished for it. But yeah, if it, I think that if Big Bird died,
Yes.
first of all, space shuttle program scrapped, done, and it was already a failure. Like we all know this. Like there is like
We would have stopped sending people into space.
no, I think we would have sent people into space in a better program because the insistence on having this fucking one part of the rocket be reusable is stupid and inane.
Well, rockets are expensive, so
They are expensive, but the space shuttle is not, it wasn't cost effective, it wasn't effective, and literally 40% of the space shuttles blew up and killed everyone on them. There were
it's a
five. There were
it's a pretty bad success rate.
exactly. There were five space shuttles built, and both Challenger and Columbia both blew up during missions and killed everyone on board. So
Uh,
the space shuttle program was everyone at NASA will tell you that the space shuttle program was a failure. And if we hadn't spent so much time on that shit, unironically, we could have gotten to Mars by now. That is the opinion of multiple NASA scientists. So if we had terminated the program back in 1986,
with a little
instead of
help from a bird.
yes, with the sacrifice of a rather large aviform, we could have
We could be on Mars,
yeah,
is what you're saying.
easily because we have the engine technology, I believe, to make it there in about a month. It used to be like a multiple month, and maybe even multiple year trip, but with our current ion engine technology, we could have made it there in a month for the past like 3 years now.
Hmm.
But yeah, like with the engines that we did to land on that comet, if you remember that mission from what was that, 2015, 2016? That was pretty cool. But those ion engines, they're really really fast, so we could have made it to Mars. They're very fast and they're very light too, because the fuel is so much lighter because it's just noble gases.
Hmm.
But yeah, we could have made it to Mars, if not for Ronald Reagan and Billy Graham being a piece of fucking dog shit. But yeah, the space shuttle program fucking sucks. There's your academic lesson for the day. Fuck the space shuttle program. Fuck Ronald Reagan. Fuck Ronald Reagan for a lot of
Yeah.
reasons.
There's a reason we stopped making space shuttles.
Yeah, exactly. Fuck Elon Musk too, because he blew up his fucking newest rocket as well. There's actually a lot of people complaining about that because they live in the like Cape Canaveral surrounding area, and they're
Yeah.
like, yeah, it like causes fires and shit, and they're just like, hey, yo, what the fuck, man? Um,
Hey, we live around here. Can you launch your rocket somewhere else if you know you're gonna crash it?
yeah, I mean, I don't think he knew he was gonna crash it, but he's
Or
fucking
even
Elon Musk. He's
even with the
retarded.
chance of crashing it,
Yeah,
can you pay reparations and damages if you can afford to crash a rocket over where we live?
yeah. Or at least the fucking government should just be eminent domaining their shit, right? They should be buying up their houses and just like, okay, you don't have to fucking live here anymore. It gives us more room to do shit. It'll pay you the market value of your house so you can at least pay to live somewhere else, you know?
Yeah, that might
Something.
help their local economy just a little bit, you know? Imagine just doing that much for the country,
Yeah, something like that.
especially after some terrible fallout in the surrounding area happening.
Yeah. Thank God we haven't actually. Thank God there wasn't like a nuclear powered rocket, because if there would have actually been fallout or in the surrounding area, that would have been shitty. That would have been really shitty.
Yeah, I guess we'll just have to settle for like a train releasing noxious gases and chemicals.
Yeah. What a time to be alive. $2 trillion on infrastructure, and these fucking trains can't stay on the goddamn tracks. Thanks,
They're,
Biden.
they're putting money into these?
Oh yeah, that $2 trillion infrastructure bill, that was the largest rail investment since the 50s, I think, since
And
like
when
1957.
when was that?
That was last year, 2022.
So before the crash?
Yeah,
Well, that doesn't look good.
yeah. Thanks, Biden. Thanks, Buttigieg. You fucking idiots. How is it that I could do literally all the fucking executive branch jobs all at once better than the people that they have doing them? How the
Well,
fuck do you get the mayor of South Bend, Indiana, the fucking he was a naval intelligence officer, and what do you do? What do you fucking do? You put him in charge of fucking transportation. Are you fucking brain dead? Are you fucking senile? Jesus
yeah,
Christ, Biden, you
I
fucking
think
idiot.
half of a president's job is hiring the right people to do the other half of stuff
Well,
that you don't have time to do as president.
he promised him a cabinet position if he would drop out of the primary and endorse him, and that's the only one he had open.
Lo and behold,
Yeah, fuck
wow.
yeah. This is why I'm running for office.
Yeah,
No, I mean it. I'm like actually gonna run for local office.
be on the
I
lookout,
I have
Chicago.
no, not Chicago. Macomb. Let me look what district it is, but it's okay. Find my rep. So, oh, that's the wrong one. It's the ballot one, right? Uh, it's the down ballot. Find my uh Congress. Find the Congress. All the Congress. Um, let's just do this one. Okay. All right. I'll tell you what district you need to move to vote for me.
Yeah, let everyone know.
It's a big district.
Let everyone
Um,
in the district know.
yeah. So, my two choices for who to unseat are Representative Dan Swanson. That this is Illinois State Congress, by the way. Um, it's Dan Swanson or Michael Halpin. So I'm getting rid of one of you. One of
You're
you is gone.
taking your slot.
You're damn right. I'm taking your spot. I'm taking your bitch. I'm taking your money. And if you have a favorite vegetable, I'm taking that shit too. Eat my ass. But yeah, I'm thinking about starting my own political party. We'll call it the Influential Party. Pro-gun,
Yeah.
pro-choice, pro-abortion. Not pro-choice, pro-abortion. We want all the women to be getting abortions. There's too many kids.
This is the only option now.
We're having too many fucking babies, bro. We can't handle it. There's way too many fucking kids in the foster care system, dude. For real. For real. And it's only going to get worse. So, yeah, unironically, if you live in a fucking blue state, consider abortion, please.
Maybe you move all the adoption centers to be next to the abortion clinics.
Right?
That's
right?
your first act.
No. So the abortion clinic is like in the middle, and surrounding it, there's a bunch of adoption centers. So that way, no matter what direction you're going through, you have to pass an adoption center.
Yeah.
Yeah. You abort yours, and you take home a different one.
You're like, oh, honey, since we stopped in the area, let's take a child home with
Yeah,
us.
let's get a child. It's like going to the pet store and getting a fish. For real. Yeah. Unironically, people are gonna have to do that, right? Fucking foster a kid. By the way, a lot of this is jokes, but if you can, fucking foster a kid. Don't be a piece of shit. Yeah, foster a fucking kid, you assholes.
The number of children without parents is through the stratosphere.
It is fucking staggering how many kids are like taken away from their parents and put in the foster system because like the parents are in jail, the parents are dead, one parent's dead, the other one's in jail, abusive households, everything. So yeah, if you can afford to, please fucking adopt a kid. Please. Genuinely, unironically. Yeah. Yeah. I'm gonna charge mine rent. If I foster
charge your adopted child rent.
Yes. I'm gonna foster some children at 21 years old.
That just sounds like child labor.
No. I'm not employing them. I'm just telling them that they have to pay their own bills. They don't eat for free.
Then that's not really fostering them.
I'm offering them rent, or I'm offering them a place to rent. That's something. You know?
I think you have a very different view of adoption than the World Census does.
Well, I mean, they should pull themselves up by their bootstraps. That's that's on them, bro.
Whoa, they don't even have parents. Can you cut them some slack?
Who are they gonna tell? Their parents? My logic is flawless, by the way.
Oh boy.
Hang on. Talk. Say some things. Provide us with some lovely. You motherfucker. Who else am I talking to?
Why the fuck do you want to hear from me?
You're the
one spewing opinions.
I mean, well, I assume you're going to be my running mate when we run for president.
But I'm not in your county.
No. When we run for president. So that way you're in the you do your district and I do my district, and we work our way up through the ranks until
I would become the most prestigious tiebreaker in all of the land.
For real. Oh my god, you would have so much power
as a tiebreaker.
Yeah. everyone and their mother would be giving you like gifts and expensive prostitutes and vacations.
Yeah,
Oh my god,
they'd
that'd
say
be
in the
incredible.
circumstance that the vote is tied,
Yeah, you could be
but
making buku
be in our
bucks.
corner. Yeah.
Yeah, I would not be afraid to sell out to either side. Uh,
That's
it,
the that sounds like a good candidate to me. That
I'm
sounds like a lot of candidates I know.
okay. Okay, unironically though, right?
You would make a
Because
great candidate.
there are a ton of like fucking people in Congress who pretend to be like super mad about every single thing. The
That's their job.
yeah, yeah,
They don't I don't know what their policy is, but I
yeah,
know that that's what they do is they get mad a lot.
yeah. Like your AOCs, your Rashida Tlaib, your fucking I don't forget the other one. I forget the other one's name, but they're the squad. They're all mad all the time. They're like, "Oh, I'm outraged. I'm offended." Blah 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 blah. No, most politicians, even if they pretend to be outraged all the time, they're basically like single issue politicians, right? You know how they're like single issue voters, where they're only Democrat or Republican because of like one single issue. Um, they're single issue politicians, right? My single issue, if you elect me, the people of Illinois, if you elect me to the Illinois state government, I will get rid of the FOID law because the FOID law is fucking shitty. It is terrible. Uh,
Yeah.
and I and I will make it so that the gun laws in this state are much more fair and constitutional because a right delayed, locked behind a paywall or a license, or in any way restricted is a right denied. And I don't think you should have to get a license to go to church or be a journalist or
Wait,
uh
can we backtrack a little bit?
what.
Don't you have some sort of like restriction in owning a firearm?
Yeah, and I think that that's bullshit.
Yeah,
I haven't committed a crime. I haven't
but
been before a judge.
but
They were
you are still barred from owning a firearm.
without due process. And that's what I'm saying, right? Because
You were
right
just
now,
like some circumstances have led to you specifically not being permitted to carry one or to own one.
for the next 2 years and a month, roughly, yes.
Wow.
And I'm going to destroy that law and the careers of anyone who gets in my way.
Is
I
it just
will.
that law or it's probably just that law that affects you?
Well, all right. Here's the thing, right? Here's what I take issue with here. Um, so like because of America's like super huge disability law thing, like because we are actually one of the best countries for people with a disability to live in. You
Yeah,
know,
we're just politically disabled
yeah,
as a
we
country.
yeah, but like if you're in like a wheelchair or like crutches or whatever, we're a fantastic country to live in because like everywhere's got to be handicap accessible. Um,
Yeah.
but that means that this culture of accommodating people with disabilities, right? That means that a blind person, like physically completely blind, not allowed to drive, right? Like completely barred from getting a driver's license, right? They can own a firearm. They can apply and get uh, a firearm owner's identification in the state of Illinois, and I think in all 50 states, you're allowed as a blind person,
That
you're allowed to own
is
a firearm.
that is amusing. I mean, like I wouldn't I I can't assume that they shouldn't. I
They
mean,
shouldn't. They absolutely shouldn't, because there are 4 rules of firearm safety, right? Depending on who you ask, they're sort of different. But the ones I subscribe to are that you have to treat all guns as if they're loaded. Never let the end of the gun, the business end, point at anything that you're not willing to destroy. Keep your finger off the trigger until you're aiming at your target and you've decided to shoot, and be sure of your target and what's behind it. So those are the versions of the rules that I subscribe to. And a blind person cannot follow two of those rules. Like half of those rules they cannot follow because they don't know what is in front of them. But like by law, they do not know what would be in front of them,
By law.
and they don't know what the muzzle cover is pointing at. So,
What? You say they don't have like sense of touch? They can't feel what part of the gun they're holding?
but they can't tell if they're not touching or hearing or smelling or tasting something. They can't see it, and so they won't know. They cannot fully follow those four rules. So, in my opinion, and I would say the opinion of most reasonable people, a blind person cannot safely own and operate a firearm without supervision. But guess what? They're allowed to apply for and get a firearm owner's identification license, even though they're not allowed to get a driver's license. And I think that that's bullshit. But you might say, right? Oh, well, a driver's license isn't a constitutional amendment, right? That
I
they're
mean, that is an argument you could make. It is
yeah,
not a constitutional right to drive, but it is to carry a firearm.
to own and bear arms. Yes. Keep and bear arms is the is
Uh-huh.
the phrasing. And that's the crux of it, right? We can deny people the right to drive a car if they have a medical issue, or they've committed a certain crime or something like that. We can deprive someone of that right. They're not allowed to own the driver's license in that instance. But keeping and bearing arms is an amendment to the Constitution. It is a right. It is an incorporated right as well, because the 14th Amendment, the incorporation clause, says that all the states need to follow uh, the first 10 amendments in the Bill of Rights, including the second. And again, you don't need a license to go to church, to speak freely, to petition the government. You don't need a license to get a trial by jury, or avoid uh, uh, criminal, cruel and unusual punishment as a criminal. Yeah, you don't need a license for those, but you need a license to keep and bear arms? No. Fuck no. Absolutely not. That rule is unconstitutional. The Supreme Court of Illinois uh, already ruled on this, that you cannot enforce the Floyd law if you have a gun in your home. It's unconstitutional to enforce it in someone's home if all you're doing is having a gun but not a Floyd law, and you don't take it anywhere. If it's in your house, they can't enforce it. So again, it's unconstitutional that they can do that. And I will go to Springfield. I will change that, and anyone who stands in my way, Democrat or Republican, I will destroy your career.
What about the blind people?
Well, I mean,
They
I,
might have they might have some public outcry. Do you think there'd be more outcry if like the existing
wait, speak
laws?
up a little bit.
Do you think there would be more public outcry if the existing laws said that blind people could not carry firearms? Would there be more would there be more unrest?
No, I think
And
most blind people would agree that they can't know uh, what is in front of their, or what is behind their target, or where their target even is most of the time. I think most blind people would agree with that.
you
I
think
th-
politicians would defend their access to firearms?
here's my opinion.
What if we had like a politician go on to like a news station and like make their case for why blind people should be allowed to carry firearms. I think we would hit like a peak.
Yeah, here's my opinion, and we'll go into the ad break here. But
Okay.
here's my opinion, right? Either everyone is allowed to carry as long as they haven't like been expressly told by a judge for punishment of a crime that they're not allowed to own firearms, or we close the loophole, blind people not allowed to own guns, deaf people not allowed to own guns, uh
Deaf people not allowed to own guns. No one with a disability allowed to own a gun.
I mean, why not, right? We wouldn't give a driver's license to a quadriplegic person.
What about you?
I have a restriction on my license. I have a restriction on my license.
So you
You
would be
know,
restricted from getting a firearm
unless I'm
anyway.
wearing glasses. Unless I'm wearing glasses. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, that,
You'd have to wear glasses
yeah,
to
yeah.
carry a firearm.
Unironically, either it's okay for everyone as long as they haven't explicitly had their right taken away by due process, like every other fucking law, like every other fucking legal right that we have, or it's okay for no one. That's the those are the rules. You can play ball or go the fuck home. But for me, I will destroy any chance you have of getting elected if you don't agree with me. I will do everything in my power to make sure that you do not get elected if you oppose me on that. And that is
Yeah.
a fucking fact. That is
Okay
an
then.
absolute fact. So either I'm running for office or I'm starting a political action committee and I'm going to be the actual fucking kingmaker in this country. Because when I'll, before we go to the ad break, I want to say this. I have a very straight and narrow focus and drive. When I want something, I fucking get it. Okay? There is nothing, hell or high water. I will do everything in my legal power to get what I want. And that includes donating lots and lots of money to people who aren't you if you oppose me. I will spread dirt. I will I will pay for any bad story about you. I will donate to your opponents. I'll donate to political action committees that oppose you. I will endorse them on this show. I will do everything in my legal power to get firearm rights back to the people who deserve them. Because and let me tell you this. This is why. This pisses me off, right? So right as I bought like the night that I made my offer, and it got
Okay.
accepted on the house, in the town where I moved to, there was a college party. And somebody showed up and shot multiple people and killed one of them. Right?
Okay.
So the Floyd law either didn't keep him from getting an illegal gun or it didn't stop him from using a legally purchased gun. But if the people at that party were carrying, I guarantee you he wouldn't have made it that far.
So if everyone at the party had a gun.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, all right. We'll go to the ad break, but I have some evidence to support this. But we'll
Okay.
be right back.
Okay.
This episode has been generously sponsored by skunknuggetparenting.com, run by my own talented mother. Parenting is hard. Sometimes Kids and parents are like night and day. It can be very hard to get on the same page with them, and a lot of parents have anxiety that maybe they're doing it all wrong. Luckily, there is a service out there that can help. Skunk Nugget Parenting Solutions is a company that provides parent coaching services, resource referrals, and psychological profiling, along with 24/7 phone and text access in an all virtual program. Plus, the first consultation is free. In order to get this amazing service, please visit skunknuggetparenting.com. That is skunknuggetparenting.com. Thank you to Skunk Nugget Parenting Solutions for sponsoring this episode. Thank you all for listening. And now, back to the podcast. Welcome back to the show. All right, I've got some stats for you. I got some numbers here. All right. All right. I got some numbers here.
All
Are
right,
you
you're
ready?
gonna pan off these numbers now.
Yeah, I got all these numbers for you. I've gathered them during my little pee break that I took during the ad read. Yeah. All right. So, um uh uh number of school shootings in a school where the teachers are allowed to be armed. I want to hear your guess. What's your guess here?
Um, what is the question?
How many school shootings do you think there have been in a school with armed teachers?
How many schools have armed teachers?
That's one of the numbers I don't have. But
Well, that seems like an important number to consider. Because,
most schools
because you know,
in
most
Ohio,
schools, because most schools don't have teachers with guns, and so that's just a fact.
I do know that there has been a
And
uh
I don't know if the solution is to give every school a gun. That seems, I don't know, alarming. Like, we're just introducing the problem. We're expediting it.
so all right. So here I'm gonna tell you the number of states where it is officially like banned, like officially like outlawed. So the number of states that don't do that, there's Hawaii, Seattle, or I say Seattle, Washington, even though it's basically
Uh-huh.
just Seattle, California, uh, uh, Colorado, New Mexico. There were the two square states, and I was like, oh, which one is that? It's Colorado. Um, North Dakota, Nebraska, Oklahoma, Minnesota, Wisconsin, Arkansas, Maine, Pennsylvania, Maryland, Virginia, Delaware, and North Carolina. So those are all the states where they explicitly outlaw carrying firearms in schools. All right?
Just those ones?
Yes,
That
just
is
those ones.
that is surprising.
In the states where it is explicitly allowed that they're allowed to carry them, we've got Idaho, Wyoming, the other square state, South Dakota, uh, Kansas, Missouri, Texas, Louisiana, Tennessee, and Florida. Right? And then there's a bunch of other states that have a law where the school district will grant permission if you're allowed to carry it.
Yeah.
Um, but Ohio reduced the amount of uh, training hours that you need to um, carry. So they used to have a really huge program where if you wanted to be a teacher with a gun in the classroom, take a guess how many hours you needed to have before this new law.
I'm gonna guess like 40.
700.
Good.
That was before, right? But after the new law, it's 24. And m- most of the people in Ohio, they've said uh, that uh, that was the most important thing to prevent school shootings in Ohio. And I stand by that because there
The
hasn't been a school shooting in Ohio since that.
Yeah, but it's not often you're gonna have teachers with 700 hours of firearm training.
Exactly. But there it is often that they will have 24 hours of firearm training.
That's
It's not like
that is definitely not enough though. 24 and 700 are two completely different amounts.
now here's some more of the numbers that I found here, right? So, during a live fire situation, uh trained police officers are only accurate about 30% of the time. And trained soldiers in a war zone are accurate even less. Like much, much, much less, right? Um,
Okay.
so, but the interesting thing here is that 30% is sort of the peak. And when you look at like criminals and like concealed carriers and like civilians, it's not that much lower. It's only a few percentage points lower in accuracy wise. The the human body can only really be expected to have about that level of precision during a live fire situation, during a an event where that type of adrenaline happens, right? So,
Okay.
given that these are going to be very, very close encounters, if it's a teacher in a room with students and they are, backed into a corner, right? We saw what having an armed um, student resource officer would do. We saw that in Uvalde, and we saw that in Florida during the Stoneman Douglas shooting. They don't do anything. If they have a chance to leave, they will. And granted, I will say that technically, according to like all first responder training, that's probably best. That's technically what they are supposed to do, because the number one thing I'll say this in an emergency situation is to not create another victim. Your number one job is to uh, save as many people as you can without yourself becoming a victim. And
Okay.
so that is that is you know they're trained to not respond like that. But if you have a teacher who is in a locked room with their students back against the wall, who has to protect those students, they absolutely will be more likely to eliminate the perpetrator. They're absolutely more likely to do that. And so I stand by that all not all teachers, but any teacher who wants to be armed should be. Absolutely. If they're willing to do the if they're willing to get a concealed carry license, then they should be able to concealed carry in classrooms. 100%. 100%. Yeah, that's
Should but okay, on that condition, do you expect there to be enough training and regulation to allow that?
I mean, we haven't seen a there's a lot of people who say, "Oh, a student's gonna grab the gun and do that." When have we seen that? When has
I
that
mean,
happened?
that is something important to consider is that you are putting a, a firearm in like an environment that is surrounded by children. So, it's not like you're gonna have a teacher present at all times in the classroom, is my thinking.
No, well, they're gonna concealed carry as in on their person.
Damn,
Yeah,
that's,
like a normal concealed carry person does.
I mean, so, okay, I mean, it's maybe it's just not in my book or element to like teach a class while holding a firearm on person. But
I'm
that's me.
at that point you you wouldn't notice, like do you
You wouldn't?
know? No, honestly, unless you if you've all right, so here's the thing, right? If you talk to anyone who concealed carries daily, um unless they're like unless they're carrying something brand new, trying like a different place for it or like trying a new holster, um they won't notice cuz they will gravitate to a point of maximum comfort depending on the things they do during the day, right? So um so for example, a lot of people who carry it like in their appendix area, if they're doing appendix carry, so if you're familiar with that, um uh
Maybe I don't know enough people who conceal
yeah,
carry on a
i
daily basis.
I don't know if you're even allowed to concealed carry in New York. I don't know if they issue those permits,
You're probably not.
because New York is a shithole. But
Or it would just be dangerous to have that many guns around such highly populated areas.
there's still guns in those areas. It's just, would you rather someone have a permit to have a hidden gun or not? You know?
I think often they are supposed to have a permit.
Yes. Would you? But would you prefer that? Uh, would you prefer that the person having a hidden gun next to you has trained, taken a class, and gotten a license, or would you rather they just be someone hiding a fucking gun on them?
I mean, probably the first option, but at the same time, I probably just would not prefer to be so close to people carrying guns all the time.
I mean,
That would
that's when
that
you
would not that would make me less comfortable.
now see. I used to be a pussy about this, but here's the thing, right? You know, I used to be one of those, oh, gun control is going to solve all our problems. We don't Nobody needs an AR-15. But here's the fucking problem with that, right? Here's the fucking facts of the situation here, boss. And that is that all the crazy fucking psycho people who went to the Capitol on January 6th, if they haven't gotten arrested and sent to jail, they guarantee you most of them are armed. Guarantee you. They are either armed or they could very easily pick up a firearm in
But
their local
but
area.
what does that have? What relevance does that have?
So if you want to have any, meaningful opposition to that, if you want to defend your country from armed oppression and armed insurrection, you have to also
Insurrectionists.
be armed. Yes, unironically, there's a story. This is what sort of broke me, where I was like, okay, this is unavoidable. Because for me, even before this story, this was sort of in between, right? So, um,
Well, I hope I'm not like the last person in the way of like my country's democracy to the point where I need a gun to defend myself against these people who have guns.
you could be, and that's the problem, is you might be. That's yeah, and you can never count on that, because that's what the Second Amendment is about. For the defense and security of the free state means threats from outside and threats from inside the country. You have to be able to defend it. And I stand by that. Uh so if you but here was the story. Here was the story that really broke me, to where I was like, okay, every liberal in this country should own a gun. And that is, there were armed Trump supporters in Colorado who were going door to door demanding to know who people voted for. And as far as I know, they haven't been like arrested yet, even though doing that is a felony.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean,
And this was in Colorado, right? This was in a blue state. It's a blue state with red areas. Lauren Boebert is a representative from Colorado, but it's a
Hmm.
blue state nonetheless, right? If this can happen in a blue state, it can happen anywhere. Every liberal should be armed in this country. 100%. Because almost every conservative is. So
That's the reason, is
if you,
because
I mean, if you think about it, right? All they have to do is, if they can't achieve what they want politically, all they have to do is, wait, we own all the guns. What are the liberals going to do about it? And thankfully, there are a lot of liberal gun communities, and I really appreciate that. Yeah, if you are a liberal and you are interested in protecting yourself or others, I absolutely recommend you go check that out and enlist in that. The the founding fathers of this country, they were considered extremely liberal for this time, and they all owned guns. This country was founded on the idea that you can be invested in civil rights and political equality while protecting those rights with firearms. It doesn't. You don't lose your liberal status when you go and get a gun to protect yourself.
I suppose you're right. You don't.
Mm-hmm.
Does that mean that they should all go out and get a firearm?
Yes, absolutely, 100%. the
Well,
The current arms ownership rate in America is the one of the primary reasons why we have never been invaded since the fucking 1800s. There has not
maybe
been like a on foot attack in this country since the 1800s.
maybe I will just have faith that Republicans who own firearms would uphold like the some form of, you know, con control or stability in the country, and
Uh,
that they would just, happen to be on my side if my safety were endangered in that way.
well,
Can't I feel that way?
no. That's if we get invaded. That's if fucking Canada decides to get froggy and crosses the border and invades. What if it's them? I think we've already got proof that the Republicans are more dangerous than Canada is. So we should probably be more worried about them. Do you trust Marjorie Taylor Greene to be a rational human being invested in this country's well being? Or do you expect her to be a giant raving ape like she is?
Well, she hasn't done anything with firearms that threatens some sort of safety in our democracy or something like that.
She did. She was in the January 6th thing.
Oh, you're right. Oh,
Yeah, yeah. That was her. She was part of that. So
well, yeah, that was a big destabilizing act against our democracy. So maybe I don't know. I don't know, I don't know what me owning a gun is going to change about the fact that no one has done anything about
potentially
her doing
everything.
that.
Potentially everything. A butterfly flapping its wings in Australia could cause a tornado in Kansas. You never know.
Hmm.
But it could. It could. And you've got to, you could be you could be the person who saves America, you know? If it comes down to it, that's how it is in Ukraine, right?
To
There were a lot
save
of
America.
there were a lot of Ukrainian gun owners, right? And they played a pretty instrumental part in holding back the Russians, like a lot of I will say a lot. I will say that a lot of Ukraine has been done beyond visual range. You know, it's mostly been an artillery war, an air war, uh, that sort of thing. But when it comes down to like small scale urban combat, you know, partisans with like guns at their house, you know, like a fucking old uh family heirloom from World War I, you know, that could be the thing that holds out your position for just the right amount of time for reinforcements to come in to push the fucking Russians out, you know? It you could be the last line of defense, and I think everyone should be prepared for that on both sides of the aisle.
Well, I hope I hope they're prepared too. I don't think I don't know. That's
I think it's your New York City upbringing. It
yeah, you
must
think
be.
so? You think so?
Yes.
I just don't think I'm under that much threat right now.
I mean, you're outside of the city now. How far are you upstate, roughly?
Like pretty far up.
Yeah, you're in their territory now.
Yeah, but does that mean I'm under threat? I don't think
You
so.
could be.
Well, I don't think that that constitutes me needing to own a firearm. And I think an argument I can make is that somehow no one else in my school is carrying a firearm when they go to class. So
How do you know?
I'm just gonna safely assume that.
I mean, you can't really know. You know, they say it's a gun-free campus, but like, how do you know they, you know, don't have one in their car or whatever? You
I don't
know,
know. I wouldn't get into it, you know, but that's the way I feel.
I think if you have to wait until you think you are under threat, it's probably too late. Is
Well
my
then,
view.
well then that'll be the consequence when that hits. But what do you what do you want me to do? I don't know.
Go
I'm
out and
like
buy a gun.
I'm not going to do that.
Go get
You
a
you
go get a
literally
concealed carry permit.
you literally can't do that.
Yeah, and
So I think you're just projecting.
it's not projecting. You're projecting my projecting. That yeah, it, fucking put that in your pipe and smoke it.
Mhm.
I'm the psychology student here. What the fuck? You can't
Yeah.
whip that out on me.
Well,
You
you're telling me to get a gun,
yeah,
and
everyone should have one.
you literally cannot get one.
I will. I will do again. I will do everything in my legal power to obtain a firearm. I don't care what I have to do.
All right.
If
Well,
it is within my legal power, I will do it.
until then, you cannot.
Yeah, but that makes me less prepared as someone who did feel that, you know, because I lived in a red area with a with parents who are out and proud and unafraid of it, and who did not realize, you know, that that paints a huge target on their backs. I have lived in that fear, knowing that I am like a target, you know, right? Because that's the type of shit, you know. It's fair to say that other than when we lived together in Utah, you've mostly lived in a pretty safe few areas, and then at the dorm that you're in for school, right? Like that's a fair assumption on my end.
I mean, you were probably in the same place as I were.
No, I've lived in either rural or suburban for most of my life. I've never lived in the city.
Okay. Well,
So
I've been around.
do you get around? Or what are you Brian fucking Wilson? You get around?
I've been around. I'm not going anywhere right now.
I feel like I get around is sort of the middle ground between the two statements that you just said.
Okay. Well, you can take that for what it is. I don't know. I think I would not invite the idea of carrying because it's just so out of the scope of what I do to carry on with my life. It
I
has it has like no relevance to me.
How do you know? How do you know?
Well, it's all I've known, really. It's that's how. I just I just am like completely detached from any invitation to carrying a gun,
I'm inviting you.
and I'm refusing.
I I definitely think that is, if it is a right available to you.
Shouldn't it be my right to choose too?
And I also say that, right? That is, you're also free to not carry. Um, that is your freedom to do that, and I would never say that it isn't. I don't believe that gun ownership should be mandatory. Um, but I unless the draft happens, in which case, there is mandatory, at least
Yeah,
gun use,
there
at
you
least
go.
possession. But
That that actually I would offer that suggestion to you, which is if you are so desperate to carry a firearm, you
I
could
I
enlist
I
in
can't
the
actually.
military.
I can actually. Uh,
Is
uh,
this part of the clause?
no, it's for a different thing. But they have a new. I thought about enlisting, but this, like, basically right as I turned 18, um, I had to get a surgery done to fix a thing, and right after I did that, they implemented a new medical record filing system, right? Because before then, you would bring your medical records, like, printed out to them, or you would, like, send them through like a fax or digital copy. But now the military has, like, an internal thing where they will check the records of their uh enlistees, I believe would be the term. So now you can't get away with it.
Get away with
Lying
getting
to the
surgery?
recruiter, lying to the recruiter, because my dad had asthma, but he was in the Marines, um, and he just didn't say it to the recruiter, and they just let him in. Um, but
I
also, one of the things they make you do if you join,
That
like,
seems dumb. Wait, so you can't join the military if you have asthma?
no, not at all, because one of the things they make you do, in
That
at
probably doesn't
least in
stop you from getting a firearm, though, right?
no, in most of the in at least both the Army and the Marines, uh the ones where you will probably see combat, uh you one of the last things they make you do during basic training is they put you in a room, they tear gas the room, and you have to be able to state your I think name, rank, and service number, I believe.
They're
um
they're doing that to people?
Yes, they two people I've talked to, Army and Marines. One of them actually got, like forcibly removed from the Army because he didn't know he had asthma, and they did that to him. He had no
Can
idea that he had asthma before then, and they did that to him, and he was medically discharged. And
that's
my
f-
dad,
that's
my dad,
fucking awful, bro.
the military, the enemy military, isn't going to let you out of the room once you say your fucking service number, right? They're just going to keep pumping gas in there until you're dead. So I understand why they don't.
This really doesn't seem like a, I don't know, like
They
a,
break you.
I wouldn't condone the military for gassing their recruits.
They have to break you. They have to. That's why the United States military is the toughest fighting force in the world. First of all, it's because we're fucking huge and we have the technology to whoop everyone's ass without them even seeing us coming. But second of all, it's they have to fucking break you. They break you and they put you back together. And a lot of times you won't recover. There are a lot of uh veterans who don't recover from that. And it fucking sucks. But it keeps us safe, you know? And at least you don't get drafted into that anymore. At least it's all volunteer.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Well, I know I'll definitely not be willingly submitting myself to getting gassed in that case.
You
But,
know?
you
Yeah.
know, that's you can't either.
I I mean, I wish I could because and truth be told, this
Maybe
is
if you just like subject yourself to enough like experiences with gas and try to recite your own like
social
hypothetical
security
name,
number.
rank, and social, yeah, you might get good enough to pass that part.
Well, truth be told, my dad um my dad also has asthma. They gassed him, right? He got through it completely fine. He also got through COVID completely fine. Like he didn't get vaxxed. I think he got it before he got vaxxed, and that's sort of his whole like, I got it before I got vaxxed, so it didn't do anything, and I have the antibodies and whatever. So he gets COVID like all the time, but it's like a mild cold for him. And afterwards, he said it like completely like flushed his system, and it made his breathing better. And that's what he said about the tear gas as well. And after I got COVID, I got the same thing, right?
You got stronger.
Yeah, it for a couple of days after the fact, I was like, "Holy shit, is this what it feels like to be normal?" And then my allergies came back and it sucked. But yeah, that's if you've got bad allergies, maybe sign up for the military and get tear gassed.
Have you
There,
been vaccinated?
yes, um I think I was double. I don't have my wallet on me, so I can't check my vaccination
Yeah.
thing. But it was last year, so I think I had two Pfizer's and a booster, and yeah, it was in June. It was uh it was like the flu. It was I would compare it to the pre-pandemic flu, and if you remember the flu from pre-pandemic, it was pretty nasty. And
Hmm.
I would say it was about there without the stomach pain because I got stomach sick during then too.
Oof.
Yeah, but that was the last time I got sick before I got COVID, and I haven't been like sick since because I don't leave the house. So it's awesome.
Hmm.
But yeah, I'll leave you with the advice of maybe join the military and get tear gassed if you want to clear out your sinuses. Try it.
All
Uh,
right.
I
And
have a
you get a
big red button.
firearm for your troubles.
Maybe. Usually,
Maybe.
sometimes, kind of,
Maybe.
maybe.
If you can get past the gas part.
Yes. I think they make you train with the firearm before then. I don't know. Jury's still out. I
What's your,
don't think that's part of basic.
I see.
Yeah,
What's your,
my
you want
big
to
red
move into
button.
the big red button.
Yes, I'm
Yay.
very excited about this one. Um, you can speak to all animals, but you have to live in a zoo.
Oh, that's so sad. That's so sad. What the fuck, man?
Would you do it?
Yeah, I would. And then I would voice their complaints to the staff and they'd be like, we're gonna have to ask you to leave, and I'm gonna say big red button. I can't leave. I live here, and they would just have to give the animals better treatment.
I mean, would they? Would they?
Well, if not, I will throw shit from the containment like area.
They can just tranquilize you.
They could.
Yeah, or cattle prod you. Yeah,
You
you know?
know,
Or
I
they'll
would,
just give you the Harambe treatment. Or they'll just fucking Harambe your shit, bro.
that might happen too, but
Yeah.
how cool would talking to animals be?
I wanna before I go, I had a recent epiphany while I was um uh I went to my house, by the way. I officially bought my house, and I went to it for the first time as the owner
Yes.
on Tuesday, or was it Monday? No, it was Tuesday. No, it was Monday. Yeah, it was Monday. Um um yeah, I took the train. I went to my house. I tried to use the local bus service, but it was kind of terrible. Um so I went to my house. I just sort of checked it out, saw what the owner left me, did some measurements, shit like that. And then on the way back, um, so I don't know if I declared or if I said this on stream, but I'm doing a double major, management and psych, specifically org psych. Um,
Hmm.
that's not like specifically going to be my major, but that's the field I want to go into, and that's the side I want to focus on. So like, specifically org psych, but also like behavior, cognitive psychology, stuff like that. I don't want to like chop someone's fucking brain open. And I don't really care about development, but I figured out what I want to do for my thesis, right?
Okay.
I want to see if or the effects of ionization on workplaces. I want to specifically see if it works on animals, right? So if you didn't know, sometimes if you get like certain like standing fans, they have an ion button, right? And when you press that, it releases negatively charged ions. Uh, so uh, they'll like go in the room, they catch the uh, like dust particles, stuff like that.
Hmm.
Um, but they also release uh, uh, some like the it's hard to explain. The ionizers release the negative ions, and they go into like your as you breathe them in, they actually uh lower your like depression scores if you have like a pretty high um exposure level. It's not like super duper high. uh it it's not a very large what's the word? There's not a lot of evidence for it. It's
Hmm.
not like a significant effect, but I think that perhaps I would like to try it on non-humans.
Okay.
I want to see if perhaps it would increase like um if it would help if like perhaps you know there's like the um pinnipeds and whales when they're like in captivity, you know how they get like super depressed and stuff because they like to have a lot of water and be free and shit like that.
Okay.
I'm wondering if exposing them to that level of or to that type of thing during like when they come up for air, I'm
Uh,
wondering if that might help alleviate that. Perhaps I'm not
well,
sure. I'm not sure, but I think it might have some positive effects if we put them in workplaces. Like if there were ionizers in like vents in like office spaces, so that way like your Joe Schmo 9 to 5 cubicle job might be a little bit more tolerable.
Yeah, that sounds
Yeah.
like some sort of Vault-Tec experiment.
Yeah, but I'm not gonna. I mean, at least I'm not pumping in like hallucinogens.
No, I mean they would be helpful, I presume.
Yeah, hopefully. I I don't know if I've noticed it in my life, um, but I haven't really done an experiment, and also I wouldn't be the best subject for an experiment because I would notice, you know.
I see.
Yeah, but I mean, I think it would be an interesting thesis. So I think that would be my thesis. So, um, yeah, just I love that comes up because we're talking about zoos.
Yeah,
Awesome. Yeah.
it's great, fantastic.
But I
We
think
love that.
if it does work, that would be like a breakthrough, right? Because like we could, it would be it would be a lot more humane for like uh the treatment of animals if they're like, you know,
Yeah, I mean,
less suicidal.
especially since it seems like we already treat humans like garbage
Exactly.
since
Exactly.
we're putting through noxious gases to
Yeah.
enlist. But yeah, that's great.
Yeah. So with I think that's a good
That's a
note to
that's a
end the
s- that's a
episode.
better note, something more helpful for
Yeah.
the precious animals.
Um yeah, and with that note, I would like to thank Justin Connor, our patron over on patreon.com. Uh thank you for supporting us this week. Or for this week's episode. Uh you Justin, just want to say you've been supporting us for a long time. Thank you. Very appreciated.
Yeah, shout
Um
out to
yeah,
Justin.
if you want to get shout outs like that, make sure you go on over to patreon.com/IIHS podcast, all one word, and uh, join the $3 tier for shout outs. And then if you join the $5 tier, you get to hear all these episodes ad free as soon as they're done being edited. And you don't have to wait until Tuesday morning. Ew, gross, yucky. No, you want to hear them early, and you want to hear them without ads. So go on over and join our Patreon. And if you want to follow us on social media, we are at IIHS Podcast. Again, all one word, on Twitter and Instagram. And that's the best place to reach us for Q&A, topic suggestions, new episode updates, stuff like that. So go give us a follow there. Other than that, I have been incredibly influential, creator of the Influential Party, the greatest political party ever known.
And I have been highly successful.
Nothing
That's
else.
no,
Nothing
yeah.
else. Yeah. Yep.
I don't mince words.
You know, it's a good quality. But we'll talk to you next week. Love you.